Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de lucha libre online, y tengo el enorme privilegio de presentarles a nuestro invitado en la tarde de hoy, de Ohio para el mundo, Ethan Carter III, EC3. Mr. EC3, how are you doing today?
I am well, thank you.
I'm glad to know.
Hell of an intro.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to know you're doing well. How does EC3 using his time during this pandemic situation while everyone is quarantined at home?
Starting a revolution. That's it. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Destroying the past, inspiring people to destroy their past, inspiring people to fight against powers that control them, the authorities, the corporations, the medias, religion, politicians, even people that say they love them. We're destroying we're freeing people. I'm freeing myself, and hopefully through that, people find freedom in their own lives. So if they don't, that's fine too. But I'm doing it for me. If you want to come along, cool. If you don't, it's all good.
So I want to speak about something really important, that is, and I quote, control your narrative. Does that apply only to pro wrestlers, or it can apply to everyone?
How do you say control your narrative in Espanol?
Controla tu narrativa.
You got me? Okay. Sounded way better coming from you than it will from me. But no, that does not apply to just pro wrestling. That applies to you and your life. Control your narrative is the ability to tell your story, how you want to tell it. So I know a lot, especially with wrestling. We adhere to mechanisms that control us, don't allow us to express ourselves. And that's also filtered over into real life. You can't think for yourself, you can't feel for yourself, you can't act for yourself. Control your narrative. There's a freedom to tell your story, how you want to tell it. People want to listen, cool. If they don't, that's fine too. If people want to admonish you for living it, you have to accept that. That's okay. But controlling your narrative is being yourself.
And speaking of telling a story, there's something huge that's gonna happen on July the 18th at 12 a.m. We saw your countdown, and there's only one place to see it, and that's EC3's Facebook page. It's The Real EC3. We're gonna plug it here in the video. We're gonna plug it a little bit up in the title. I'm gonna plug it in the comments. We're gonna basically tag it everywhere because everyone needs to see what's gonna happen on the 18th, July 18th. What's gonna happen?
Yeah. It's gotta be, yeah, because we had a discrepancy, because one of the reasons I started that was because there's a fake one that has a bunch of likes and I can't get rid of it. So I left it there for years because I didn't care for Facebook. But now I want to destroy them because they're trying to control my narrative. So get rid of the fake. But yes, the more you like it, the more you plug it. That's going to be a tremendous help to your 620,000 people, I believe you have. So that helped me. And then, yeah, July 8th, 2020, at midnight, I am free. And the very first thing I'm going to do is get into a fight. So what does that mean? I'm getting into a fight. Follow and find out. Like it. Don't just follow. You got to like it. Thanks.
Just go to EC3, The Real EC3 on Facebook, The Real EC3 en Facebook. Es cuestión de darle like a la página, suscríbanse y manténganse al pendiente de ello. Vamos a ponerla aquí en los comentarios, vamos a ponerlas en los titulares, vamos a ponerlo en partes porque el 18 ustedes tienen que estar ahí y tienen que saber qué va a ocurrir. EC3, let's talk.
Sí. Yes.
Yes, that's the important part. Since we're there, how much Spanish do you know?
Not a lot. I wish I had.
What can you say in Spanish?
De nada.
De nada. You're welcome.
What else? I mean, come on, don't put me on the spot. I don't want to butcher such a beautiful language with my rough American dialect.
No, but the important part is that you are actually trying to learn another language, and specifically Spanish, which is kind of complicated, and that's part of being free in your narrative. In your narrative.
Yeah, I should have gone to Rosetta Stone and prepared better. But yeah, like I took French in high school. Like Spanish would have been far more applicable. Plus, all right, Paris is a dump now. Like speak Spanish, I can go anywhere. I can go to Puerto Rico, I can go to Mexico, I can go to Spain, go to South America. Like it's the love language of the world, and I can't speak it. So.
And speaking of the world, you are a free man from July 18 and over. There are a lot of companies inside the pro wrestling industry. There's AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, CMLL, AAA in Mexico, GW in Panama, WXW in Germany. Basically, the world is your oyster.
In a way, yeah.
Are you interested in a particular company, and if so, which one?
You know, it's such a hard climate right now based on COVID and lockdowns and travel, and the narrative always is changing, locking us up and keeping us away. So it's hard to say what is appealing to me now or what's going to be appealing in 6 months. Right now, my main purpose is being myself. To free myself, I must relinquish all control of any facet over me. So jumping from one company to another that's going to control what I've created, especially in the past 9 days, isn't totally in my purview. It's not something I'm not going to do. I want to run with what I do on my own, in my own way, as long as possible, until at least the world settles down. Until I find a home that I think is suitable for me. So what does that mean? Yes, I have extreme interest in every company, but I do not have extreme interest in one company for a long time.
So we can see you maybe in a week in CMLL or AAA in Mexico. Then maybe the next week you'll be in New Japan Pro Wrestling or All Japan or basically any single place in the world.
That sounds pretty enticing because I just want to fight, and I'm not trying to fight other people. I'm not trying to fight other wrestlers. I'm trying to fight against my past and every regret and decision I once had. I'm fighting to free myself, and by doing that, I think it requires a tour de force of this beautiful world we have, of the many different places. CMML would be wonderful. AAA would be great. I'm not going to do any hurricanranas ever, but fighting there would be very intriguing to me. I've been in the past, haven't I?
I have a question for you. Since you mentioned past, you mentioned regrets, and you mentioned future. I mean, you had a run with WWE for quite a while. You were in NXT, you were in Raw, you were basically everywhere. But were you happy with what you were doing?
No.
So if you were not happy, why you stay there for so long? I mean, you requested your release before?
Not. Because the world had a pandemic take over, and I have people I'm responsible for. So my personal unhappiness was a sacrifice for the sake of I'm making money, and a lot of people aren't during a pandemic time. So no, I didn't request it. Thought about it countless times, but at the same time, I'm not a quitter. I'm not somebody who shies away from a challenge. I'd rather at least exhaust every effort and opportunity to make something work before I allow them to betray me, which I tend to do. So, yeah, makes sense, right?
Yeah, it sounds fair, but you face many people inside your career, both in WWE and Impact at one point, which was TNA before. You faced Jon Moxley, Lashley, Rusev, Matt Hardy, Kurt Angle, Alberto El Patron, Braun Strowman, Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Bully Ray. Hell, there's a lot of names you've been in the ring with. But which was the match that maybe changed your perspective about pro wrestling, and why?
Oh, That's an interesting take. Because you didn't ask what's your favorite match, or you didn't ask what match means the most to you. You asked which match has changed my perspective of wrestling the most. And I'm not prepared to answer that. Can I think on it for a second? Hold on. Because that's an in-depth question. Got it. There was a match with Matt Hardy for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship where I was the champion and he was the challenger, and he was kind of in a way perceived as the good guy, while I was perceived more so as the antagonist. But as we fought, I realized something with how the fans were reacting with the way I fought. I fought with like a lot of heart and passion because I was finally coming into my own. Sure, I became world champion beforehand, but at this point I was coming into my own and like being worthy of being the champion. And I was bringing a fight to a pretty prestigious name into the industry. And once he realized he couldn't beat me that day, he had to cheat. And that's okay. I mean, I've done that before, but he had to cheat time after time and he couldn't keep me down. And that's when I really, the perspective of me, who I was, changed. And he'd end up defeating me, but it's only after he exhausted every possible option to wear me down. So that was the match that changed my perspective the most. Good question.
So which, in your opinion, is the biggest difference between Vince McMahon, owner of WWE, and your former employer, Dixie Carter? Which was the biggest difference between them?
I mean, they're completely different people from top to bottom, you know? Like, as far as a boss, I would say Vince has his hands on every single aspect of everything that's happening, while Dixie would more so focus on certain areas. So she wasn't spread too thin. That's probably the biggest. But I mean, yeah, Dixie had people surround her, like a creative team that created the show. While Vince has a creative team that creates a show, and then they give him the show and he says, nope, and then he changes it. So, like, I would say the amount of control they remain over their respective properties.
Okay, so there are two aspects or two facts that I want to mention. The first one is that EC3's all music theme played after Muso's match in Impact Wrestling a few weeks ago. The second one is that we saw EC3 on his Instagram account speaking the control your narrative part, and suddenly an AEW banner appeared on his back. Slammiversary is on July 18. AEW is the next week, since you are
Saturday.
Yeah, it's this Saturday actually.
Yeah.
And AEW, obviously they have their show today, Fire for the Fallen, but since you're not free yet, they'll need to wait one more week.
Do they though?
Is there a chance that maybe we can see C3 on either Slammiversary or on AEW?
Yeah, there's a chance you can see me on both. Who knows? Anything's up. Anything's up for grabs. Or you can see me on neither. Would it disappoint you? Wherever I best control my narrative, like, I have no responsibility for my theme music playing during anybody's match, especially in Impact, because A, I don't own the rights to the theme music. B, I don't run the production truck and I don't press play. C, I've destroyed all ties to my past, so whatever theme music I've used in the past has no interest to me whatsoever at this point. So somebody did something, wasn't me. An AEW Fight for the Fallen. Yeah, I mean, they have a show Friday, right? And I claimed I'm going to fight. What? The very first thing I do is I'm going to get into a fight. Though that lays on 7/18, I mean, I'm doing control the narrative. I'm talking about Impact. I'm control the narrative. I'm talking about AEW. I'm talking about Ringer. I'm talking about NXT. I'm telling stories. I'm telling my story. And through them all, make up your own. Or tune in and find out. Or I'm not going to do anything.
The important part is for our fans and everyone all around the world to tune in on July the 18th at the Real EC3 Facebook page. Once again, I'm going to tag it here. Midnight EC3. Last but not least, what message can you send to all the people out there that have a dream, but they don't know where to start or how to do it? For example, being a pro wrestler, being a fireman, being a lawyer. Where can they start and how?
Wow. Not a model, so it's hard for me to phrase this, but to start anything, you have to take the first step. So when you clarify or signify, this is my dream, I want to do this, make sure you really want to do it. Because if you don't and you're just saying it and you're just full of words but no actions, then what's the point of saying it? You have to believe in what you want to do and you have to mean it. So start there, but you have to take the first step. So to be a pro wrestler, fireman, I've done both of those. You have to understand you're not going to be good at it for a very long time. The only perfect thing you'll ever have out of whatever you choose to, effort. Because as long as you put in that effort, that day to day, every possible option exhausted, you don't run away from a challenge, you don't quit. Oh, it gets hard. Oh, you hate being here. What are you gonna do? You gonna ask for your release? No, because I have something to give. Let me show you. Okay, we're not gonna show you, we're gonna fire anyways. Like, you can't live in that mindset. You have to apply, full tilt, straight on, take on your challenge, and you have to mean it. So don't just, one more thing. I hate when people say, I want to do this, and then they don't follow. You didn't want to do it. Don't lie to me. Do yourself more important. Control your narrative. Put everything you got into what you want to do. Let the chips fall where they may. Because even if it doesn't work out, at least you have satisfaction they tried.
So give the first step, be free, and control your own narrative. Those are the three.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if you need help controlling your narrative, you can hop over to freeec3.com, www.freeec3.com, and get a Control Your Narrative t-shirt. Or you can go full psycho boy like me. You know, like, I'm not trying to sell merch. I mean, of course I am. I like money. But at the same time, yeah, control your narrative. Free yourself.
www.freeec3.com. Your booking email, it's ec3@freeec3.com for all the promoters all around the world that maybe want to acquire the services of EC3 before any other people decides to
open up the world. I'm ready to work.
Oh, definitely. But before maybe another company or someone wants to make EC3 that exclusive brand, you guys can still contact him, EC3 at freeec3.com. We're going to leave also that in the comments, www.freeec3.com, and the Facebook page, The Real EC3, Instagram at The Real EC3. Mr. EC3, I've mentioned your name like a dozen times. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you the best of lucks, and we're going to be more than aware of what's going to happen on your page, your Facebook page, on July the 18th at 12 a.m.
Let's party in Puerto Rico.
Maybe Puerto Rico. You'll never know.
Maybe. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.